Hello everyone and welcome to the Utladalen Valley in sort of central Norway. This is one of the most famous waterfall walks in Norway after I did another one of the most famous waterfall walks yesterday at Utladalen. This is the hike to Vettisfossen, which is the tallest unregulated free leaping waterfall in the country at 275 meters high. But if you can hear behind me, there's more than just that waterfall here. So there's Avdalsfossen, which I'm walking towards right now, and several other waterfalls along the trail up. So I'll give you a look around. You can see the massive Avdalsfossen, which anywhere else, like that's an attraction on its own, but here it's just a little bit of a sideshow. Deep valley here. So basically we just follow this road for like 5 or 6 kilometers, leads us to a farm. From that farm, we take a couple of trails which will lead to the bottom and the top of Vettisfossen, and we'll have a good explore of everything. Something you really notice here is the colour of the water, that amazing sort of powder blue. These creeks all flow off glaciers, which is why they have such powerful flow even deep into summer. So just come to the end of the paved road, but there's sort of a secondary smaller car park. Have a nice little map here as we start on like the proper track part. Avdalsfossen where we are, or where we started. Oops. Then this old building. Avdalsfossen, the first big waterfall. Avdalsfossen, which is sort of a small waterfall in the river. Vetti, which is the big farm. And then we have Vettisfossen, and then also we go at the top of it as well. So that is sort of give some idea of what we're planning on doing. All very well signposted. Another bridge over the powder blue river. Really churning away in there. Well, about 15 minutes in, I'm just seeing the mist of Avdalsfossen as we approach 173 meters high. Reckon it's gonna be pretty spectacular. This is some epic waterfall, and it's not even anywhere near Vettisfossen in terms of size. Absolutely monstrous. I'm miles away from it here and still getting blasted with that mist. Well, the heavens have opened, but fortunately hasn't made the hike any less scenic. Just going through this humongously deep gorge. With this rain though, we can really notice that mist just coming off the river there. Absolutely beautiful. Like a thin layer of haze above it. Gives it a really mystical sort of look. Okay, so we've made it to our next little point along the walk, which is a short side trail to, I'm going to go with Avdalsfossen. No idea how to pronounce that. Please correct me in the comments, any native Norwegians. I feel like I just keep butchering the Norwegian language every time I read a sign. But it's a very powerful little waterfall down here. And it's a little very short side trail. Give you a look down the bottom. Well, this is the short but powerful Avdalsfossen. Nice sort of strandy cascades up in the mountains there. Now I've seen this listed as being about 12 metres high. To me that seems like a stretch unless there's more kind of above this drop. But nonetheless, very, very powerful. Reminds me quite a bit of the kind of smaller version of Hooker Falls in New Zealand. With that like narrow sort of powerful flow and that powder blue water, which is just gorgeous. Passing by those stringy waterfalls from before, which kind of actually more substantial than you'd think from a glance. They're just extremely tall. But I'm filming now because up ahead you can see the Vetti farm, which is where the road is going to end. So it's taken me, not including stops, basically 50 minutes this far to cover about 5 kilometres. Pretty easy walking most of the way. Now when we get to the farm, I might head up to the top of Vettisfossen first, which is a steep old track heading up the side of that hill. Basically with the purpose of getting the hard bit out of the way earlier, because I reckon if I press onto the base, then come back, I'm not sure I'll be arsed going all the way to the top as well, but I know it's good view from there, so I'm keen to do it. Well, it ended up being actually quite the steep and nasty climb to actually get to the farm here. We're sort of perched on a bit of a hill, but I made it up here. It's nice, there's a whole like cafe and stuff inside. I've just had the most expensive pack of chips of my life, but worth it. Off that way is where I'm going to head next. 1.5 kilometres to the top of the falls, and then over that way is the trail to the base of the falls, which is 1 kilometre away. So base from here, it's 5 kilometres of total walking to see the falls from both viewpoints. The good thing about doing a fair bit of climbing to here is there'll be less to go to get to the top, but I'm sure there's still quite a long way to go up. But yeah, here's the Vetti's farm. Have the nice buildings. And all sorts of signage. Good times. Up we go. See all the way down to the farm. Starting to look a ways below us now, which is a good sign. Well, climbed so far now, sort of the environment's really changed here. It's much more open, like smaller trees. If you look off in the distance there, there's some enormous waterfall sort of falling away from us. I would assume it has a name, but no idea how you go about getting there. So it's a 355 metre climb from the farm, and it feels every step of that. I think I'm probably nearly there now. It's taken me half an hour so far from the farm, and it's just up, up, up without any sort of relent pretty much. Fingers crossed, we're just about at the high point. Reached a junction, which means we're only 400 metres from the falls. The left fork heads towards Vettisfossen. Really gorgeous up here on the plateau. You've got sort of mountain peaks behind, still covered in snow, which would be contributing to the very, very forceful flow of this river. It's just amazing because it's like we've climbed all this way up, yet behind me there's still like a whole nother section of mountains. There's like another sort of second valley after this first one. If you remember from the footage of the valley floor, those cliffs were enormous, and we're now on top of them. Just the sheer scale of this place and how big everything is actually quite hard to comprehend. Anyways, you can hear the creek up ahead, so not too far now. Right there, water plunges 275 metres off the edge. This is one of the most ridiculous viewpoints I've ever stood at. I'm just hanging over the edge of a cliff, dangling 300 meters above the floor, looking at this infinitely tall waterfall. Unbelievably spectacular, and also quite scary because I'm just dangling off the edge of a cliff basically. It's a brilliant viewpoint, it's very new, it's sort of metal structure behind me, but I better give you a look at the main attraction. This is Vettisfossen, 275 meter single drop. Okay, so coming back into the Vetti farm now. In the end, it's taken me an hour 40 return, including about 20 minutes at the waterfall. About 40 minutes there, half hour back, give or take a little bit. So now, my legs are getting very tired and sore after a long day of hiking, but still want to press on to the base of Vettisfossen, which is off this way. Half an hour, according to the sign. Well, after a short sort of initial climb, which was not at all welcome, the trail's pretty much descending now down towards the river. With that first big climb up to the Vetti farm, it means we have a fair bit of descent to do and therefore ascending on the way back, which I'm not looking forward to. As you can see, it's quite a rough sort of trail underfoot. After the rain, these roots and rocks are really slippery, so that's something to be aware of. But shouldn't be too long of a hike, hopefully a lot shorter than going to the top. Still on the way down, impressive views of the river there and the suspension bridge, which we're obviously going to have to cross. As it turns out, we don't actually have to cross that swinging bridge, as interesting and scary as it looked. That leads off to, I don't know, I'm going to try to pronounce that, Stole something or other. This nice big sign pointing to our goal, Vettisfossen. Getting close now. I'm starting to peer into the alcove where the falls are and even look way up there to look at where I was at earlier. Looks a very, very long way away. Well, after about 20-25 minutes from the Vetti farm, made it to the unbelievably spectacular Vettisfossen from below. It's interesting because there's kind of a big rock that blocks part of the falls from view, but I still have to say, much more impressive from down here. You really get such a sense of the scale. Anyways, I'll give you a look. Absolutely brilliant view. Well on the way on the trek back towards the car, so I figure I may as well wrap up the video here. It is an unbelievably spectacular hike. Did the Utladalen Valley trail yesterday. This probably edges it, and that was an unbelievably spectacular track as well. Just Vettisfossen, it's probably one of the best waterfalls in the world, to be honest. You don't find many 275 meter sheer drop waterfalls with that kind of force very often. Plus, you know, you've got these waterfalls behind me. There, the other two big waterfalls and the slightly smaller waterfall in the river. Just loads to see and a spectacular gorge. So yeah, can't recommend this place enough. Definitely a must visit if you come to Norway, especially if you're into your waterfalls like me. But on that note, I'll see you at the next waterfall. Thanks for watching.